dispelling evil in the proper way. So I think about time that I spent in Romania studying folklore and Freddy Krueger, despite my earlier defense of the potential of his innocence, if we assume that he is guilty, is an evil person. Now, the system of law failed. It didn't put him away and keep society safe. So then a vigilante group got together and murdered him. You may say, good. And I get it. Good. I'm for it. But they murdered him in a fairly cruel way. No? So they burnt him alive while he was kind of homeless, living in because wasn't he like living in like a shack or something? It wasn't like a good space. It wasn't, it was or like near a boiler room or something, right? Or maybe that's where he did his crimes. Something. I mean,
part of the unhoused community.
Look,
that's a marginalized identity.
That's true.
Did they enact violence against a marginalized group?
Well, they did.
So it was a hate crime against Freddy Krueger.
It was
a hate crime.
In a way. Okay, so there's something to this, though, despite your tasteless jokes. There's something to this, which is, look, I mean, fuck, this is hard to say, but like, you got yourself a child murderer over here, right? His name is Freddy Krueger, and you're out for justice, and I get that. Part of what feeds the vengeance of this myth, of this person, is that they, to some degree, tortured him when they killed him by setting him on fire. So to bring this back to the idea of the stuff that I learned while I was in Romania studying folklore, and the folklore we'll call vampires, but we're actually something called strigoi and a different thing, but there's proper ways in which to dispel evil. There is ritualistic ways to do that. Now, I'm not suggesting that
they drive a stake through his heart instead.
Okay. So what I'm trying to get at is that part of the vengeance, the pact with the demons or whatever that you've read about that Freddy Krueger makes, partially maybe he wouldn't have done that if they had have just, killed him in a more humane way, I guess is the way I'm trying to say. Because isn't there the sense that the sheer violence of something like that somehow gives energy to the evil itself?
Yeah, exactly. There's something interesting about that idea of the proper way to dispel evil. And in a way, you can look at our legal system as a secular version of that ritual. There is a process through which we dispel evil. So if someone commits a heinous crime, there is a process that they still have to go through, just like everyone else. And to circumvent that ritual may be to kind of make your own pact with something unholy, to open and this is kind of like always the religious rhetoric of like opening the door to evil and things like that. And there's also this more simple psychological idea that doesn't it justify his rage? Doesn't it in a way justify his view that he's persecuted? Now, granted, he's a child murderer, so you can't really murder a bunch of kids and then be like, see, people are bad. They burned me alive. But I think there's this strange kind of almost woo-woo idea about, putting out, putting out bad energy.
No. But we actually do. Okay, so beyond your crystal therapy idea, what I'm trying to say is that, we do this now. It's not weird when we still have capital punishment in this country.
Yeah, that's true.
And we're extraordinarily, in theory at least, it is a process that is supposed to be done in a very certain way. I'm not saying this is how it works, but in other words, you don't just go push a criminal off a cliff and there are proper ways of executing people, and it has to be done lawfully. And I'm no lawyer, but so we do believe in this now, even at the worst possible person that has been prosecuted in a court of law, went through all the appeals process, Now, side note, I actually don't like capital punishment because I don't believe in putting that much power in the hands of the state. Separate thing. A lot of people will be angry at me for saying that. That's fine. You know, maybe we do a pass for Freddy Krueger. But my point is that this isn't odd. You know, the punishment is supposed to be performed in a certain way, in theory, to be the least cruel. Because if you don't do that, then you get this whole thing of, well, then are we much better? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. I still, in my personal judgment, think it is better to kill the Freddy Krueger, you know, even if you're going to do it with gasoline, than to have the Freddy Krueger kill the kids or whatever. But you're not actually preventing necessarily the potential Krueger murderers of the future. It's more vengeance. And how you dispense vengeance and revenge, there is an art to that, and there is a morality and code around that. You're not supposed to do it in certain ways, and it is that which fuels the Krueger, his pact with demons.
Yeah, that's interesting, because that's what I think we're trying to get at, what the logic behind that ritualization of punishment and dispensing evil, or dispelling with evil, is. And I think maybe the problem is that if you both use the same tools, it becomes hard to distinguish who's on the right side. So, I mean, again, it is hard to make this argument when the person being killed is Freddy Krueger, but it goes again to that idea of the risk that, what if you're wrong? So then you can end up with this situation where you're enacting incredibly cruel death upon someone and you turn out to be wrong. So then you become the monster, right? And then that's that recurring theme throughout time of, when you try to dispel a monster, don't become the monster in the process.
Well, in a pragmatic, so let's look at a pragmatic way also. You know, you put a stake through a vampire's heart, or actually it's not a stake, but a piece of whatever. It doesn't matter the specifics. I'm not going to give away the specifics of vampire dispelling. But the reason you do that is because it works. So the vampire doesn't come back. Mm-hmm. You could do other things to the vampire, right? So on a pragmatic level, maybe you don't murder, torture Freddy Krueger in order to get rid of him, because regardless of the right or wrong of it, now he's coming back and haunting the dreams of the children.